It was like a birthday lunch for a friend of the family. And when I went into the bathroom, there was some muscle magazines in the bathroom. And on top of those magazines, one of them had Lee Haney, and the other one had Rich Gaspari. And I ended up picking up the magazines and looking at them and reading the magazines and looking at the pictures. I believe they were both Muscle and Fitness. And from that point on, I wanted to look like them. And those two guys were my idol, especially Lee Haney, who I've actually become friends with over the last several years, believe it or not. So at that point, I was going through the magazines, and any chance I got to go with my mother to the supermarket, believe it, to ride along with her, because if I went with her to help her, I'd get a magazine. And in the back of those magazines at that time, they had workouts. So you could tear out the workout, hang it on the wall like a poster. And I started changing the workouts around from what my father was doing with us on the old Solo Flex machine. And I was making workouts like the bodybuilders would do. And for about 2 years, I built a nice little physique on myself in the basement on this machine with some minimal free weights. And that's what got me fired up and started into the world of bodybuilding. I was hooked. I was learning about diets and how to train and whatnot. And then when I was about 15, there was a local gym near our home, and I went and I called Unique Physique in Long Island, where I used to live. And my father had to come sign me in because I was too young to join and get a membership. And at that gym is where I learned everything about training and bodybuilding, because I became everybody's little kid brother in that gym. And then fast forward to when I was 16 years old, I did my first contest at 16 years old. And then I've been off and running from there with, quite a bunch of hiccups along the way and life changes along the way. But here we are now after all this time.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've been a fan of bodybuilding since I was a kid too. My older brother used to use the muscle mags. He used to play football here in our hometown. Yeah. I used to remember guys like Rich Gaspari, Lee Haney, Tom Plaza. This is a theory you agree with me. I believe Tom Plaza was the blueprint for He-Man.
He might have been. Yeah, he looks like him.
It's just a theory I always had about him.
Yeah.
It's just to admire how those guys build their bodies. But then I get to my pubescent ages, and then the women came my attention. But that's good that your father got you started. You and your brother. Yeah. We used to work out with my brother when we were younger. I remember the Solar Flex commercials. He used to come on usually in between sport games or after a movie or something. I don't think they still make those anymore, or they.
Solo Flex, I believe, has evolved into the Bowflex that you see now over the last 30 plus years. I believe the Bowflex is still around. I don't have one, but I believe that's still around. Yeah, but the Solo Flex is what got me started. Believe it or not, it was a fine machine. Had a lot of attachments. We had them all, and it was a fine machine to get started with as a nice foundation, and it worked for me. And then I just outgrew it for what I was looking to do. And that's when I joined my first gym. And from that point on, I was off to the races for a while.
Mm-hmm. So what was that experience like for you, especially growing up, getting to bodybuilding, following people like Rich and Lee, and, as a person yourself, being just admired by this sport? What do you feel like is changed over the years, in your personal opinion?
Well, I think a lot of people's opinions of the sport has changed over the years, and the way people diet and the way people train. I come from the old school era, the 80s and mid to late 80s, early 90s, where everything was basic. Not to knock anything or anybody, but I think people complicate it a lot now. There's only so many ways you can diet and change chicken and rice around, and but everybody has a different idea and a different way of doing it. But back then, when I started, it was a little bit more simplified. You trained harder for longer periods of time. Volume was a big thing. And, but like I said, things evolve and different things work better for other people. But I'm still the old school mentality. I'm a volume trainer. I still diet on the mentality that was taught to me by some of my mentors, that if it tastes good, you shouldn't eat it. And I still live by that today. I'm more of a hardcore trainer and hardcore dieter, but that's just the way that I was brought up and the way that I learned. I'm not saying that it's right, but that's just how I do it, and that's how I was taught. And those are the principles that I follow, even with my clients, because I do personal training. I started that back up again after a lot of years. I've been doing it for a few years now, and whatnot. And I'm a fan of lifting weights and pushing the envelope within reason that way. So I like to stick to the old school way of doing things. It works for me.
Yeah, I think with a lot of people now, they try to find things that work for them in their process as a bodybuilder. And yeah, the classics are the best. Sometimes they work, but everybody has the different, practices that help them. How to grow, how you diet. And one thing with bodybuilding is always going to get this one thing that it's going to be picked on about is the use of performance enhancers. And often, if I've had discussions with other people saying that that's only a small percentage, because if you're not consistent, you're not persistent, you don't follow your diet and your regimen, then you're just not going to look like what you're going to think you're going to look like on the stage.
Yeah, I mean that's not that's not the miracle of anything by any means. It's consistency. It's training hard. It's dieting hard. Anything supplement wise, PED or not, isn't going to make somebody a professional bodybuilder. So yeah, that's definitely I think on the lower end of the totem pole. It's training hard, dieting hard, keeping with your plan and whatnot. That's the most important things in that order, in my opinion. Diet, training, cardio, and then supplementation gets mixed in there a little bit too. But yeah, it's just everybody has their own way of doing it. What works for you. I stick to what I do only because I'm on the upper end of the age totem pole. So for me to change anything up, I wouldn't want to risk that right now. I've been doing the same thing forever, and it works. So I just stay with what I know and what I like to do. And for me to start changing things and trying different aspects of training or diet, I don't want to risk something not working for me. That's some meanwhile something has been for so long.
Yeah, I can understand. I'm in that upper age group too. Your body can't do like you used to. You can't bounce back up when you're like in your 20s. Sometimes you wake up, you feel like what's this cracking? You just wait a minute. And what your first competition? What was that experience, and what was that like for you?
That was really good. If I remember correctly, I took second place in my first competition. I was 16 years old, so that was around 1991. It was a local show in my not close to my hometown, and back then you would find the list of contests in the back of a muscle magazine, and then you would call, because there wasn't email or internet back then, and then they would send you an application to fill out, and then you mail a check, and that's how you signed up for a show back then. So I did one show when I was 16, and then I came back and did the same show a year later and won it. And then I did every year for the next 4 or 5 years thereafter. I did 3 or 4 shows a year until I had to take a break. But I did the teen nationals in 1994. I took 6th place, and then the following year I was 20 years old. In 1995, I did a few shows. Which I did very well in the men's open. I was the youngest guy at 20 years old, but I did very well. And then I actually qualified for the USA back in 1995. And then when I was training for that the following year, I ended up getting injured at work. I fell off a ladder and broke my jaw. So that took me out of the contest. And then I was getting married at that time anyway. So as soon as I got healed from the broken jaw, my mouth was wired shut for a very long time. I got married, and then we bought a house, my wife and I, and we decided that we were going to, start a family. And I still wanted to bodybuild. I still wanted to get back into competing again, even though at that time I would have had to have requalified for a pro qualifying show. So we had a baby, and my wife said, "Go ahead, get back into going." And a few weeks into training and getting myself back up to speed, I just lost the eye of the tiger, because I had, a house I just bought. I had a new wife. I have a new baby, and I just felt I needed to be home. and I just couldn't see myself going to the gym for the length of time it would need me to compete. You know, it's a different story to go to the gym to train, to stay in shape, as it is to competing. I just didn't have it in me at that time. So I didn't have any money back then, or much of it. So I took a credit card I had, and I went to a local fitness place, and I bought as much equipment as I could from my home. This way I could still train. I never wanted to stop training. I always lived the lifestyle to an extent, just because it's who I am. That's how I was brought up as a 13-year-old kid. So I put some weights in my house, so every day I could work out and feel good, and because I didn't want to throw it away. So I had my son in a playpen. He watched me work out, and it felt good, at least, that I was still training. But I still never lost that desire in the back of my head that I wanted to compete again. So fast forward a few more years, my son, back now up to 2008, saw a picture of me. Because what I did was I got rid of everything, every picture, every trophy, every medal. So I didn't see it. I didn't want to be enticed to get back into it when I was, raising my kids and all. And my older son said, "Dad, that was a picture of you I saw. Can you do that again?" I was like, "I don't know." So it kind of lit the fire back up. So in 2008, I started training. My kids were a little bit older now, so I was going to the gym very early in the morning, training at home, doing what I could do. And I had my eye on doing something again as far as a contest goes. And in 2009, I got into a car accident. And in that car accident, my back got damaged really bad. So from 2009 to 2014, I tried every procedure and injection that was available at that time to heal my back. I had some blown out discs in my back, and nothing worked. So I was living in a tremendous amount of pain. And prior to that, I already had 3 knee surgeries. So now, my back is damaged. So I figured, well, bodybuilding is going to be out forever now. I've been wasting more years trying to get it fixed. So I finally went back to my surgeon and I said, "Listen, I got to get my back fixed. I can't function." So I had a 3-level fusion done. And after the surgery, I felt great. Like my back, a lot of the pain was gone, and I felt really good. So my doctor had encouraged me to get, to continue to train, because I needed to build the muscles around my back and all those parts that were in my back. So while doing so, I started to feel good, and everything was coming back again. Like my strength was coming back, my body was coming back again, which was odd, for me, at that time. So it wasn't until a year later, I said to my wife, I said, "I think I'm going to try and do a show just to see if I can handle a diet, and if I can hang again and do it." So 2017, I got on stage after 22 years of not being on the stage, and I won a local show here in Virginia where I live. I was only 196 pounds, but that was my first time back after so long. And I won, so I got the bug. I got bit by the bug again, so I wanted to do another show. So 3 months later, I did another one. And I was about 15 pounds heavier in that 3 months' time. And my body started, coming back around, and everything started looking good. And I ended up taking second place in that show. And from that point on, I just, went running and never stopped. I've done over 22 shows since, most of which have been pro qualifying shows. And, in 2017, I hired Dave Palumbo to be my diet and contest prep guy. I knew him for many years from our New York days, and he came on board and was dieting me, and I still kept improving, so I didn't stop. And my placings were, high at the time. They were 6th, 7th, 8th for a few years at the national, at the pro qualifying level, the universe, nationals, and whatnot. But I was still getting better. So I figured, well, if I'm getting better, I'm going to keep going. And that's what I did. I kept going. And then finally this year, we got it, So last year I had a lot of second places. I did 4 shows last year. I dieted for over 40 weeks, which was a very long period of time to be on a contest prep diet. But, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to to doing what I want to do. I just wanted to keep on going because I knew I would get it. But we got close. I did the Universe, the Nationals, the North American. Then I flew out to California and did the USA. And everything was second and thirds. So after November, we shut it down for a couple of months. And then we got back on the plan to compete here at the Nationals, which I just did last week. And then we finally got it there. I competed in 3 divisions, the 50 and over, the 40 and over heavyweights, and the 35 and over. And I ended up, after I won the 50 and over overall, and I got my pro card, I decided to back out of the other classes because I got word that I won all of them. And I figured, well, you know what? I'm not going to be greedy. I don't need 3 pro cards. So I talked to some of the people at the contest, and I said, listen, I think I'm going to back out, and I'll let somebody else win. I've taken second place for many years, and I wanted to pay it forward. So I backed out of the other classes, and let the second place guys get it and get their pro card. So that's what we did there, and now we're training for the. My wife and I are both going to be competing in about 5 weeks at the Masters Pro World, August 31st together. Her in women's physique and me in men's bodybuilding, and we'll see what happens there. We're going to be doing another round together.
Well, again, congratulations, sir. I mean, you went through hell and high water. You remember old TV show called Hee Haw, where it goes, guilt, despair, and agony on me. If it weren't for bad luck, I had no luck at all. You went through a lot between falling, hurting your jaw, getting the wreck. I had a friend of mine. He's an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. He just went through stuff. He just had surgery to move his gallbladder. And, it's a lot, especially responsibilities of having family and taking care of children and a wife. And it's good that she was in your corner. She was like, how the best way to say that? You said, your lifestyle is tiger. Huh, Rock? And then you said, what are you going to do, Rock? He said, I don't have it anymore. But then you had it one more time. You went on that other time, Rock. You in the ring and you won. So you proud of yourself.
Yeah, what happened was we'll rewind a little bit. And a few years ago, my wife was like, all right, enough is enough. Maybe you should stop competing and whatnot. And so I said, well, I don't want to stop. So what could I do to continue where at least she's on board? So I convinced her to compete. I said, let me train you. Let me diet you. And, you got great genetics. So I figured that if I got her to compete, then I can keep on going and not get in any trouble. Well, she did her first show and she won her first show in women's physique. And then she got bit by the bug. So now she's wanting to do a few more. And within 3 years, believe it or not, she turned pro, in women's physique. And she even won a couple of classes in women's bodybuilding at the North American last year. But she turned pro in women's physique. So by me trying to get her to come on board so I can continue, she goes ahead and turns pro before I did, which was pretty cool.
That's good because you influenced her, and I think you really wanted to live through your experience through her. And I think bodybuilding, as conversation I had with quite a few couples, it's very infectious. You start off one person going one way and you go another, and also there's that side part about both of y'all now on prep together.
We get along great, so we don't have any issues there. A lot of people do ask us, how do both of us prep at the same time? And because I know that's I guess a problem for 2 people prepping in the house, who's moody, who's angry, who's pissed off, what have you. But we do everything together. We train together, we eat together. Now we're competing together. So for us, we actually it's not a problem at all. I mean, I'm not going to say we don't have our moments, but if we do, it's very minimal. But no, we're good together. So we enjoy the process together. We love seeing how each other evolves. She's always there to support me. Because on top of my back surgeries, I also had, while I was competing recently, I've had a shoulder reconstruction. I've had 2 bicep tendon tears and a pec tear and a hernia, all during my last few years of competing. And I still never stopped, but nothing was ever caused by training. It was always freak accidents that caused the issues. So, my back surgery or 3 knee surgeries would have been enough for somebody to stop. But I've had a number of surgeries in the last few years, and I still came back from every single one of them to get back on the stage, and not only get back on the stage, but get back on the stage improved from the year before, and I have a lot to owe to her for that, because she's always got my back. She takes care of everything, so together we make a great team, and now we'll see how far we can take this pro thing,
Well, that's great that she stands with you, what you've been through, up and down, the surgeries. And it's good that you got a wife that supports you because, as I said, John, your wife, she is beautiful.
She is.
And it's good. Folks, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play a video, and it is from his interview post winning the show. So you want to check it out. It's on NPC News Online. I can read the link later. You can watch it if you want to watch it. But we'll watch this, and it's just great how he really talks about himself, his family, his support, and how it's just, this is why I do this stuff, because I always want to research and find a little stuff about somebody. So here we go, play the video here. Read this from his interview. So y'all listen.
50 and over, overall champion, John Fricchione.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. How long have you been training, and how does it feel winning your pro card today?
Well, I've been training my whole life. I had a long break, 22-year break until 2017 when I came back, just to see if I could try it and see if I can hang. And I haven't stopped since. I got the bug again. So, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. It's a long time coming. But to win it is just like, it's surreal. It's everything at the moment, I worked so hard, so long, had so many second places, so many near misses, and now we finally got it. So I'm really happy.
How many national shows have you done?
At least a half a dozen or so. Yeah, so we've been trying for a while, and we finally nailed it. I owe a lot to my coach, Dave Palumbo, and Kenny Wallach for helping me train, and my wife Sharon, who's done everything for me and is my inspiration and helps me with everything, and who's also a pro, and she'll be here at the Masters Pro World. Now I'll be with her competing, and we train together, we diet together, and she deserves a lot of this for everything she's done to get me here.
So he took my next question, which was going to be what's next, and I'm guessing next month.
Oh, we're not stopping. We'll be here at the Masters Pro, and we'll see where we go from there.
Hey, the train keeps rolling, right?
Hey, as long as I'm improving, I'm not stopping.
100%.
I got the best team behind me, so we're going to keep rolling.
Sounds good. All right. Anybody else you want to thank?
My kids for always being there for me, but my wife is the main thing, and my coach, Dave Palumbo. He's been with me for a long time. He's not only my coach, but my dear friend, and I'm lucky to have him. And Kenny also supporting me too. So, I got a good team behind me.
A good coach is one thing, but a good wife?
My wife is the best. She's everything.
That's all we need.
That's it.
All right. Josh with NPC News Online.
John Fricchione.
All right.
That's so beautiful, John. I'm right here. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying to tell myself, man up, man up, man up, just man up, just take a beat, just man up. But it's just so beautiful how I can hear it in your voice, how you were feeling that day, with people like Dave Jumbo Palumbo, who's a legend. A friend of mine, also Big Keith, knew him too. He worked with a few times. Guys like Kenny Wallach, one of the top posing coaches. Your lovely wife, those people standing in your corner, and that's important, especially for bodybuilders to have that support, because bodybuilding is outside people outside look at it, it's a solo sport, but it takes a team to develop and grow as a bodybuilder.
Yeah. I mean, you can have everybody tell you what to do all day long. At the end of the day, you still got to be able to do it. Nobody's really there holding your hand. I mean, granted, I have my wife with me all the time who competes, so we're always making sure each other is on point and, not missing a meal, not missing training sessions, this, that, the other. But yeah, I mean, to have a good team, chirping in your ear is big, and they travel with us too. Kenny Wallach and Dave Palumbo, they come with us to the shows. I like to have everybody there. It makes me feel better, makes me feel more comfortable, especially with my wife competing too. I like to make sure that there's, enough support, because if we're both competing